Three, two, one. Let's go. Here we are, 411 Sports World Network on YouTube. Make sure you follow us at 411 Sports World Network on YouTube. Today is September 24th, 2025. Also, follow us on TikTok under Mr. 411, MisterFourOneone. That's Mr. 411. Same thing on Instagram, Mr. 411, MisterFourOneone. That's Mr. 411. We thank you in advance. In the studio today on Make It Official, the one and only Mr. Stephen Duvall. What's going on?
Hey, sir, how you doing tonight?
Man, hey, I'm blessed. As my coworker Keisiah says, be blessed. I am blessed. I'm happy to be in the game for another day.
And so am I. So am I. We are blessed, wonderfully blessed, and I'm blessed to be here with you tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll take those blessings, man. And man, I'm blessed to have you on because man, what a play that's been discussed in the sports world. Uh, Auburn with a tough loss there to Oklahoma this weekend. Man, what a game! There was a controversial play that we're going to discuss that's been talked about in the world. Man, this scoring play by Oklahoma. They scored on a touchdown, a passing touchdown. Looks like Auburn's defensive back was not ready. Was not ready
Right.
um, for this play, and it had something to do with some substitution, air quote. And we're going to talk about that, man. So uh, let's dive right on into it, man. Oklahoma scores on a touchdown play. It was a lot of question there on how the receiver was that open. So, Mr. Duval, I'm going to let you have it right now.
All right. First of all, let me just say I'm in no way here to. I'm not trying to bash the officials, criticize them, or whatever. These guys are SEC officials. They're top officials in the top D1 football conference in the country. And these guys have earned their stripes to be there, have worked hard to be on this crew. And so uh, for me to sit here and try to bash them, and that's something that I'm not going to do, not going to be a part of anything else. Uh, as we know now, a mistake was made in the game based on this play. And one of the things that I want to emphasize is that most football games have anywhere from 150 to 175 plays, and each one of those plays, you've got to concentrate. You've got to be, in that game every play, every snap, for 175 plays. So I just want people to just, first of all, think about if you were taking a test and there were 175 questions on that test and you missed one question on the exam, what would your grade be?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be an A.
A plus 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 or
Yeah.
whatever. Well, in officiating, it's a little different because you're only as good as your last play off times and the one that's remembered. Uh, so, yeah, a mistake was made on this one particular play. And uh, I know these guys being the officials that they are, uh, I can remember a play that I missed 5 years ago. I can tell you exactly how it happened and what happened and everything else. And it kept me up half the night. And it still bothers me that I missed that particular call some 5 years ago. And most officials have that same kind of feeling about when they're calling the game. They're trying to be perfect in their calls and everything else that they do out there on that field.
Mm-hmm.
And any official that's worth a grain of salt is gonna uh, always remember the ones they miss. and they hurt because you don't want to miss call. You don't want to have an effect on the game at all. Uh, what you want to do is go out there with striped shirts on and be invisible. How hard is that? But that's what you have to do, in order to get through that game a lot of times. So understand that, the whole scenery and everything else. You got 80 some thousand folks in the stands. You got another million folks watching on TV and everything. Everything that you do on that field is being scrutinized like that. So it is a lot of pressure to work uh, uh, a football game, a D1 football game, a pro football game, a rec ball game that has 30 people standing around or whatever. It's pressure in each and every one of those games. So, and I understand that this call was missed. And one of the things that was emphasized about this is this particular play. They had made it a point of emphasis. This situation here had been made a point of emphasis. I remember the Auburn coach saying something that he was told in the off season that trying to do these types of plays, these hideout plays, these uh, sneak plays, and that sort of thing on the sideline, they're trying to get them out of football, and it's supposed to draw a 15-yard penalty every time something like that happens. So this particular play was missed by this crew, and they'll be the ones to admit it that it was a missed call. And if they had to do over it again, they would have flagged this particular play. The result of it, was bad because it resulted in a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the deciding touchdown, and if you take that touchdown away, now you got a tie score or whatever. So it's big in that respect. And I know, it's hard to it's hard to accept the situation and everything, but the mistake was made. So I'm just saying in that scenario, uh, these guys are more than likely hurting about this particular call. And I don't know what the consequences are, what the conference supervisor, whoever it is, what he might do to the crew or whatever. But understand this: when you're going out there, it's 8 of these guys on this crew. This is in fact a crew mistake.
Okay.
It's not one person that you're gonna point the finger at one person on this crew. This crew missed the call, right? So it was eight people that actually missed this call. Yeah, it happened on this particular guy's sideline or whatever. But what a lot of people don't realize is that you have keys on every play. So when these guys break the huddle, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just because a guy might be in your area, that might not be your key. That might not be the guy you're watching. Somebody's supposed to see this guy coming out here and everything else, but that might not be your guy. So when you want to blame a particular official or whatever, uh, instead of doing that, you just have to say this was a crew mistake. The crew missed this call.
And can we go into a little detail on the little overview of the play, and then we're gonna come back to you, Mr. Duval. So
Sure,
on this
sure.
on this on this controversial missed call in the recent Auburn Oklahoma game, the Oklahoma player was allowed a touchdown on the play that should have been unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for illegal hideout tactic. So we're gonna get into hideout tactic shortly. We'll let you to get into that. The SEC, that's the Southeastern Conference, later released a statement acknowledging the error, the official's error, admitting that the play should have resulted in a 15-yard penalty for against Oklahoma. And then, so the incident happened in the second quarter. Oklahoma's number 5, that's the receiver jersey number, continued towards the sideline after a previous first down, but stopped just before reaching it. Then came back into the play for what appeared to be a hideout tackle tactic. Remember that word, hideout tactic, that phrase, to confuse the opponent, resulting in a touchdown. To confuse the opponent. And I'm emphasizing some of this so that when we come back and talk about it later, those who are listening, you'll get some of these key words here. Now, the rule, the NCAA football rules prohibit unfair tactics, in air quotes,
That's right.
involving simulated replacements or substitutes to confuse opponents as outlined in NCAA, some people say NC2A, Rule 9-2, Article 2. Okay, back to you, Mr. Duval.
Okay. You pretty much outlined it, that hideout, like they say. Um, One of the things that you do to prevent this hideout situation or whatever, first of all, anytime a player comes off the sideline, if they're coming to the sideline, let's say a team is going without a huddle,
Okay,
in what they call the hurry up offense or whatever. So you might have three guys coming off and three guys going on, right? Which could be confusing. Now, what the NCAA does is if you make substitutions, then the defense has to be allowed to make the adjustments to match up with the substitutions that you are making. Well, which it doesn't filter down into high school or whatever, but in college, if you make a substitution, you'll see a signal by the referee and someone else on that crew. They'll extend their arms out on either side. That means we got substitutions coming in, and that means that umpire or whoever the center judge is going to step over that ball, and they're going to allow the defense to match up with these substitutions that are being made. Now, let's just say the 40-second clock is about to run out, uh, and they've got a substitution coming in late, and that clock is running down or whatever. They're not going to let them get that play off until the defense is allowed to make a substitution, right? So that's part of what you can do to prevent this hideout stuff going on in the first place. You got to be able to match up. So if somebody's coming off the field, uh, 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 behaving like they're coming off the field, then they need to get off the field. They don't
right.
need to come off the field and then stop at the sideline and then still be eligible to go. Because they got, that's a point of emphasis they made with this rule. You can't do that anymore, right? So even if the guy's coming on the field, he can't step on the field 1 yard on the field off the sideline. He must come in and at least to the numbers and then go back out in that position. And the best way to detect that is when, if that scenario is happening, you look for the matchups. Just like if this guy who came out there by himself and he's got nobody on him, then that means the antennas need to go up. Uh-oh, this dude is doing something he ain't got no business doing, because they don't see him. And
Hmm.
hiding out, he's doing whatever it is. So it should be an antenna going up if you don't see a matchup. And that's one thing that when you're working in your area, in your keys, your key area, and the player that you're supposed to be watching, then you're watching for these matchups. So if you got receivers here that are that don't have anybody uh, uh, checking them or watching them, then that antenna should go up and say something ain't right with this play. The same thing about a receiver being eligible. If a receiver is quote unquote covered up by another person on the outside of him, then he's ineligible to go downfield because he's not a eligible pass receiver. Then, if he's covered up, if he's not on the end, and if he's not on the end, even though he might have a receiver number on and everything else, if somebody on the outside of him has got him covered up, then he can't go out to catch a pass. He would be an ineligible receiver downfield. So again, you're looking for the matchups. Is somebody on this guy? Is somebody checking this guy? Then if you notice when they come out in a formation, you might see a receiver on the line of scrimmage, right? Then he'll
Hmm.
back up 2 yards, right? He's backing up to let this other guy become eligible now. At first, the guy was covered up. Now, when he backs up, now this guy
Hmm.
becomes eligible. Now you got two eligible receivers out there, and now you're looking for the matchup. Who's checking this guy? Because he's getting ready to catch a pass. So pre-snap, when the receivers are going coming out, everybody has somebody to watch. The deep guy is watching the widest guy out. You on the flank, over here on the sideline might be watching the back or watching the second receiver in. The back judge in the backfield, he's watching, the tight end. So you got different folks watching different people. And so these are your keys. So if my key is sneaking over there, over by the sideline, this is my guy because we count 11. If I got 11 players out there, and he's one of them, and he's sneaking over there on the sideline, then I should be able to pick him up, you know. And if I missed him, then something was wrong, and I count and everything else. So all these things, but all this stuff is going on uh, within seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Because these guys might be in a hurry up offense, they're doing different stuff, and it's funny, when they talk about deception, in a manner to deceive. You're always trying to deceive the opponent. you know, if you fake, if you fake the ball to the back, if you stick it in the back that's coming running up the middle, and you take it out, then that's a manner of deception that You're always trying to do something to keep them off, right? With deception. But these particular instances of deception, the simulated replacement, the hideout
Mm-hmm.
tactic, they've been ruled as fouls now.
Okay.
There might have been some time when you could do that or whatever in past, but you can't do that now. You know.
Yeah. If that's
So
the case, if that's the case, I had somebody take, get a sip of Gatorade. You know what I mean? And
right,
they come to, they sipping on some Gatorade, and all of a sudden they step on the field, and
yeah,
then they're open. So if you're gonna leave it open like that, you know what I mean. So
right,
I like that they have this in place. Because it falls under, to me, more of a sportsmanship type of deal.
yeah,
You know what I mean, versus just being straight up. So um but here's a question that I have, and I want you to be able to answer this. So, we have the video out there on the sports page, 401 Sports One Network on YouTube. And there's a video out there, and there's been some debate going on out there the last couple of days, ever since Saturday.
okay,
And one of the comments that comes across a lot is that the Oklahoma receiver did not go out and sub out. And so a lot of fans don't have an issue with it because that player did not actually sub out.
right.
So I know you touched on that, but can you just kind of directly answer that for people who think that, hey, what's the big deal? He didn't actually leave the game.
Right. So he and you didn't have more than 11 on the field. So he was eligible when the last play was over. I don't know whether they huddle before the play, if he came out of the huddle and that sort of thing. But
Hmm.
if he comes out of that huddle and he's headed toward that sideline, then you've got to um you got to rule, or you got to say that this guy is leaving the field, for
Okay.
whatever reason. He can't just stop there. And especially now, if he's got somebody, again, if you see him going out there and doing that, and then somebody's going out there with him, then we got no issue. But somebody said, that I hadn't watched it exactly like, but they say he was coming out like he was kind of limping, like he's trying to get off the field because he's hurt. So
Oh,
that's a deceptive matter within itself.
oh yeah.
And
Oh
you're
yeah.
trying,
I'm looking at it right now.
you see what I'm saying?
And man, he's almost like he could have fell over and been out of bounds.
Right,
Like,
exactly. So
you
he's acting
know,
like he's hurting everything else, right? So that's
man.
deception. And see, they have made these a point of emphasis. Anytime they say we're making this a point of emphasis, then we want to make sure that you guys don't do that, and we want to make sure that the officials penalize this stuff every time because we're trying to get it out of the game. See, we're trying to remove this from the game all the way to get, so you won't do this. So every time you do this, it's gonna cost you 15. So if every time you do it, it costs you 15, then you're gonna stop doing it, and they're gonna get it out of the game. So um, all the time, when I say all the time, coaches are looking for ways to circumvent the rules at times, and that's unfortunate. Uh, Sometimes I have seen coaches that circumvent the rules uh, when there's a safety issue involved, you know. And people have been accused of doing things deceptively and stuff, and violating safety issues. And one of the things that comes to mind in my mind is a chop block. A chop block is a dangerous block, and you know they accuse some coaches of teaching players how to chop block. If you chop blocking, man, you know that's a serious injury waiting to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to see that, and that's one of the things. That's a point of emphasis. When we see a chop block, we gonna flag that chop block, and then there's gonna be some discussion, you know, after that chop block, because you don't know whether it's deliberate or whether they did it, you know, by mistake or whatever. But you don't want that in the game, because that can cost some kid his career. You know, you stand him up and then you come in to cut him low around the knees and stuff, and so anytime you're teaching stuff like that, then you're not a good coach. In my way of thinking. I
Yeah.
just, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. And we need to get that kind of stuff out of the game. And they're trying to get it out of the game. So,
Yeah.
uh, that, you know, there's just certain things, and make no mistake about it, football is a violent sport, man. And there's a lot of stuff, you know, as far as safety that's been placed in the rules now. You know,
Yeah.
trying to keep players as safe as possible and stuff. Uh, but even though this deceptive thing is not a safety issue, it just doesn't need to be a part of the game. And
Yeah.
anytime when you're making points of emphasis and stuff, then you know that means that we want this looked at and we want it scrutinized, and we want it out of the game. We want you to penalize it every time. I know in my instance this year, in our association, we're making a point of emphasis on uh, uh, illegal motions that are taking place, and it false starts and that sort of thing when you have two players moving at the same time. And I've made the training film a couple of weeks by missing those calls, that illegal motion call with two people moving. Now they're not moving, you can't see it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
It might just be a little tiny thing or whatever, but it's showing up on film, and we're trying to get that removed from our games because those are fouls that we're missing. And I personally have missed that more than once this year, and it is a point of emphasis that I'm supposed to be watching. So every time they show me on the film missing that call, it doesn't feel good because it's a point of emphasis. I should be watching for this. I should have seen that, and I missed it twice this year for sure. Might have missed it more than that, but anytime you got a point of emphasis, if somebody's saying we need to do this, we need to get this, we need to make sure that we call this correctly, then this hideout situation and stuff like that being a point of emphasis, they want it out of the game because this
Yeah.
happened more than once. And if everybody starts using that, then you ain't gonna have nothing but some mess in the game. So
Right, right, and look,
unfortunately,
the
yeah,
SEC conference has come out and stated that the call was missed. So, and I'm saying this because I know there's a lot of debate out there about the play. At the
yeah,
end of the day, if the officiating body, the league, comes out and says that this was missed, then it was missed.
yeah,
So no matter how we feel about it, because there are a segment of fans, right, like that were pro Oklahoma, they're saying, hey, you need to be ready for any and everything out there.
that's
I
right.
mean, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, this call was still missed. So if an Auburn fan is like, hey, man, y'all Oklahoma got away with this. Well, they did. And that's what it is. And that's why you have rules, right? That's the
Exactly.
important part of this too. That's why we have rules so that you don't have the fan base or each individual team uh, deciding what goes on out there. That's why the referees are the arbitrator, and then you got the rules,
Right.
right in the middle. So take that, for what it is when you're having these conversations. with amongst each other about plays that happen in games.
Yeah.
Some of the key words again, like you said. So another key thing that you said was outside the numbers, right?
Right.
And going back looking at the video, number 5 was outside those numbers.
Well,
So
but he was inside the numbers,
before,
before. So that's
right,
fine because you can
right,
go out, you can go wide out, and you can be out there. But
okay,
this guy was sneaking out. You know, it was a deceptive move, no doubt
yeah,
about it. When you look at the
okay.
and stuff.
So it's
So,
fair
but
to
I'm saying
say,
a guy coming off the sideline has to
yeah,
go. Let's say it.
inside,
They say, well, you can't break the huddle in college with 12 players, right? So
right,
you can't be in the huddle. 12 can't be in the huddle and break. If they break with 12, then that's a foul right there
yeah,
for illegal substitution. Now in high school, it's different. They can't be on the field with 12 players.
okay,
So if they broke the huddle or whatever, that's a whole different thing. But in college, you can't break the huddle, or in the pros, you can't break the huddle with 12 because that's deceptive right there. Because you
right.
don't know who to check. You got 12 guys, and who gonna check? You can't
Which
check.
one?
You got to. So who we concentrating on? So that's a problem right there.
It,
But if you go in no huddle, then you got 12 players out there. You aren't breaking the huddle. Somebody's got to get off. So you
right,
got to allow those jokers to substitute. And that's what they're trying to do. Because when those guys going in them hurry up, and then they run a player on and off and stuff like that, and you don't have a chance to make that adjustment.
right,
Now, all of a sudden, here's another guy that's wide open. So they've addressed that problem with when they come on, when the offense is making substitution, the defense has to have an opportunity to substitute.
which
See,
makes which makes total sense, Mr.
right?
Duval. It makes total sense, and that's fair. Even if it because if it was in the reverse, you know what I'm saying? If Auburn was on offense, Oklahoma was on defense, Oklahoma fans would definitely want this play enforced, right, by the officials.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's in
Fans.
fairness for both. It's in fairness for both teams,
Yeah,
that'll participate.
fan is short for fanatic, so I understand the fanatical part of all
Hmm.
of this. And somebody, and there's gonna be some comments in there where these guys, they were favoring Oklahoma, they probably, all that old stuff that comes up that somebody's, they throw in the game and they favored, Oklahoma might have had less fouls and all that in the game, and they didn't do this and that. They scrutinize everything. And uh uh, so I just take all of that stuff with a grain of salt. I know
Yes,
these
sir.
guys, every time they go out there on that field, they want to get it right. You know, they could care less who wins that game or not. What they care most about is officiating that game correctly because they are being graded on every play. Every
Mm,
play, they're gonna go over that film, they're gonna watch it, and they're gonna get a grade. This call that you made, could you have passed on that call, pass interference, all of that. It's not like they're just getting up, on a Saturday morning and going out here to call ball.
right.
They've been studying this stuff all week, getting ready for this game and the pregame and everything else, and being prepared, knowing the rules, knowing everything there is about the rules and all of this kind of stuff. It is a hard hard job. Make no mistake about it, you
Yes,
know.
sir.
And my hat's off to those guys that make it that far and they go out there and they concentrate on that craft and stuff like that. And so yeah. But
And
go ahead on.
no, no, I was just gonna say that what you're saying is absolutely true. I mean, because look, you are a football official. You officiated at many levels of football, collegiate, amateur. You know what I'm saying? And I say collegiate is technically still amateur, but they paying them. But you've done high school level, college level,
Yeah,
so you understand where they're coming from. That's why we wanted you on because you're given the perspective from a football official and an overall sports official because you do more than just football, by the way.
yeah,
Uh, I know you humble brag. I'm doing it for you, but but you're bringing it from that perspective, and that's what we wanted. And yes, even though we are talking about this play, even though the officials did miss it, we still want to discuss it because we're not going to run and hide from that because we all miss calls. You know what I'm saying? I referee basketball. I know
yeah,
I've missed calls all my life, and I try to get the majority of them. But we do put a lot of work into it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? We do a lot of studying. and the majority of officials across the board. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
be honest, not everybody, but the majority, vast majority,
Oh, yeah.
um, that really put a lot into this. And so, even for us to discuss this, this is a teaching tool for the fan, the coach, the player, the officials. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is. Is just to be able to say, hey, we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying, and bring more
Right.
clarity to it.
Right. Right.
Yes, sir.
Any official that says they never missed a call, all I say is, well, you haven't called enough.
You definitely haven't done it. Must have had one play uh, as an official, and you got lucky on that one play. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the only way you haven't missed one. But
that's right.
I mean, there's calls that are missed, and everybody in the building don't even know that it was missed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But another official knows it's missed.
Yeah.
That understand that more of the aspects of it. But yeah, man, I'm glad we was able to cover this.
Yeah.
Bring it to light. Bring in the good points that everybody can go back and listen to again. And maybe this will help you with your conversation with others when it comes to this play. You can put your comments out there. Any questions, anything like that. I'll make sure Mr. Duval can get his hands on it, and we'll get the response to you if there's any more clarity that's needed on this situation. Anything else you want to say before we roll out?
No, not at all, man. Just support your local sports teams. Get out there and encourage those kids that are out there participating and everything. They work hard to do that, so they need all the support that we can give them. So on
Yeah,
that's on every level.
yeah,
When you go to the game, concentrate on supporting them rather than being so critical of the coaches and everything else that's going on. Go out there and support these kids and
yeah.
encourage them. And
Um,
that's what the game's all about. In the final analysis. Let's support them in a positive manner.
yes, sir. It's an extension of the classroom, right? The
Absolutely.
kids, they go to school all day, do their work, listen to the teachers, then go to the extended classroom, listen to your coach,
Yeah.
go out and work, teamwork, all that stuff. So we're gonna leave it right there because there's no better way to close it out than what you stated there, because that is what it's all about at the end of the day,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Duval.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. All right. Well, look, to the next play, you know, I want to
All
see
right.
you down the road for that. Because
Yep. I'll be.
something else gonna happen. We gotta talk
Oh
about
yeah, something else is gonna happen,
it.
and we're gonna be sitting on ready for
Yes,
it.
sir. All right. So for Mr. Duval, I'm Mr. 401. All right,
All
we'll
right.
catch you next time. We out.
We out. Enjoyed it, man.
Yes, sir.